and then again, let's make this in English. Hello, hello. This is Ronald Velasquez here from New York. Today we have Manuel Mallarino, who's going to talk to us about how to spiritually cleanse and protect yourself and your home. How are you today, Manuel?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you?
Very good. Thank God we went through all the glitches and here we are.
Sometimes happens.
Sometimes it happens, right? So since we are here today, tonight, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, all of this, I used to be a journalist, actually. That's how I started. That's what I studied. Uh, it's actually called, well, it's PR, basically, what I did, and journalism. So everything that has to do with PR, journalism and communications. That's how it's called in Colombia when I studied this career. And yeah, it came to a point where I would say that my professional life began to take a different turn because personal experience, which was to begin to have experiences that were outside the rational part that I had experienced before, started coming in. One of those things was, of course, what we call channeling, or being in contact with the angels
Mm-hmm.
or the light beings. There is also the guides as well. So, of course, that this all leads to questioning my reality, since I had always been a person that believed entirely in scientific, just relied on science to prove anything. And it turned out that when I first discovered many things about my life that were hidden from my past, um, traumatic experiences, let's call them.
Mm-hmm.
These connections started to, there was an awakening. You always have to go through the hard part in order to awaken, because the first thing you do is clean, or cleanse, like we're talking about in this today, yourself from everything that you need in order to achieve a higher state of conscience. So I ended up, as soon as I started communicating and receiving the messages, my first thought that I was indeed losing my mind. It's a normal outcome for someone who has lived their whole life relying on scientific knowledge and the rational part of the brain that we use, of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this led me to question everything. So I did have an initial experience of even going to a hospital. I think it was for about 10 days, 7 to 8. I can't remember exactly how long, but I ended up at a hospital with everyone giving me, um, diagnosis and telling me that I was initially schizophrenic and that there was a psychotic tendency. And so everything comes at the same time. Um, the whole questioning of your reality, your own experiences of in my case, it was abuse as a child. And in many other cases, it's different things, maybe the loss of someone dear to you. There are many ways but it always happens through something that makes you question everything you've known. And when I do get out of the psych ward of the hospital, let's call it,
Mm-hmm.
and I am under medication at that moment that I get out, I still feel the presence, and I can listen to these beings. So as time gradually passes on, I understand what's really happening, and that I am not crazy, well, that's how society calls it, crazy, or mentally ill, because many people will use
Right.
the word crazy.
Right.
Yeah. And eventually, everything that I thought was suffering, that I thought was negative, turned out to be an awakening, a very positive experience, because with time I was able to let go of that thought, of the thought that not being in the reality that you are supposed to believe, that you have been taught to believe, is necessarily being mentally ill. Now, I am not saying that mental illness does not exist. Of course it does. But in my case, I think it was a journey of discovering myself. And I did quit the medication. It took me a long time and a lot of questions that I had to ask myself. And of course, difficult questions, Ron. But that's basically how it all began. In the end, everything turned out perfectly. The medication was gone, and I still have contact with the archangels. That's the main source of information that I gather from them. There is also my guides,
Right.
spiritual guides, but it was quite an experience. Yes, it was very important what
So
I had to go. Yeah, yes.
so how long when did this happen? How long ago?
This was around the end of 2021 and the start
Okay.
of 2022. I was working at a call center, um, but also I worked before as an account executive, so I was doing a lot of things. Um, but I was just working at that moment at a call center because I was in between jobs, and I do remember being at my job and remembering the abuse. It just came like someone told me they thought I this had happened.
Mhm.
They said, I think you have been abused. So I remembered it at that moment and I basically just collapsed. It was so it's just one of those things, just pops back into your life after 20 years. So my initial thought is to let, it's going to be okay, but it wasn't. It wasn't because it so many questions, and the first thing that I thought was I am in fact losing my mind. Truth is, I wasn't losing my mind. I was just connecting so widely to so many different, because I was going through such an experience that changed everything. You have to go into the darkness in order to cleanse. I mean, I'm not saying we are dark by nature. No, we're not. But we have to go through our own shadow. We have to look at it. We have to look at what we've come here to do on this planet. So I had to look at that experience, that childhood abuse. I had been hiding it for 20 years in order to survive. So when this presents itself to me, I collapsed completely. But then after the hospital and after I realized that the solution was not to be on medication constantly. Of course, it's needed sometimes. I will never pretend to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist. That's not the objective of what I'm saying at all. From a spiritual point of view, you can definitely beat traumas, or you can do it. There is also the work that you need from a professional of the mind. I have also consulted with them, but it was spiritually incredible. My life changed completely.
Now,
Yeah.
now that we have you here and we heard about your story, uh,
Yes.
what would you? How did you start this path? Um,
Oh well.
you are now today. We're going to talk about how to spiritually cleanse and protect yourself and your home.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
how can we do that? What are the steps to do that?
Well, I'll answer the first question quickly. How did I start? Well, when I realized that I wasn't, in fact, mentally ill, and I broke that barrier, I started to actually listen to the messages. that I was getting from the archangels and from my guides, and this led me to a lot of knowledge. Part of that knowledge is what I'm about to share right now. Now, when we talk about the cleansing or the cleaning, let's call it the being spiritually clean, let's say, you have to first, of course, start with what I always talk about, and it's first of all your attitude. Okay, first you go to the personal part, and you go to your attitude. It has to be really positive. You can't be afraid. You got to understand that what we call negative energy is really just negativity. You got to break down a lot of barriers mentally and personally. Now, this goes through what I just said, experiences like the one I've lived. If you haven't lived through an experience like this, you don't have to. It doesn't mean that. It means just whatever life has in store for you to face it. So you have to be really personally solid, and you have to have good habits. But now comes the spiritual part of things. Okay, so once you are balanced inside, once you are mentally calm, once you have achieved all of these things, you have to use certain things. Now there is probably the most important material, if we could say, Ron, and to all the others, is called lignum vitae. That's the technical, the name in Latin, if I'm not. And that is this right here, which a lot of you probably know. It's the most commonly known. Now, this is originally from South America, if I'm not mistaken. And you have to burn it every time you want to. This is very important. You have to burn it, okay? And you have to always go to the left. You always need to go to the left when dealing with these. Why is this? I'm going to briefly talk about this because this is for another time. It's because what we know as time here on Earth, what we have been taught is time, does not exist in superior dimensions. That is just a construct of the human reality. So if you look at how time is structured, it has been channeled to me that we need to go against what the clock says. It sounds like a very simple symbol, but the truth is we have to go against. That is what has been channeled to me. It is important to understand that time is just a construct. So we always go against the clock. Now you have to point outside and go against the clock. You go always towards the left. Say you enter your house and you go from right to left. And you need to understand as well that before you use this, which is probably the most, this gets rid of the more dense energies. This is these energies that come with fear, for example, anxiety, what people will refer to as, there are many words that have been determined, used for this. I don't agree with a lot of them, but I'll say them just so we can understand. Let's just talk about people saying that there are negative spirits in their house, that they feel a presence, someone watching them, someone, that they might have moved into a new house and they feel something's not right. So this is for these kind of things. This is for everything that is associated with fear mainly, and with energies that are really dense. Now, we also have the sage, which I would use first. The sage, you can buy it here or you can buy it on a stick as well, which is what most people will do. I would prefer and I would advise to put it on a plate separately and to also go against the clock. It's very important to understand that the sage, okay, and some people will know about this more than me, I'm sure. I'm giving you my experience. But the sage for me deals a lot with stress, anger, everything that is more to do with experiences that have to do with everyday life. Whereas the lignum vitae, sorry, but I have to look at the technical name, is for me used against let's call them negative spirits. Now, when you turn it on yourself, okay, when you have already done the cleansing in your home and you turn it on yourself, you have to go the other way around, okay, because it's always where it's pointed at. Also, you have to do it patiently. You have to find a balance, okay? You can't do it too fast, or also you don't take too long. You have to understand how energy works. That's the most important part. Anything we use, let's call them tools for the purpose of this talk today, even though it's not the best description, but anything that you use, you need to understand the energy, because I can feel these energies and I know when they're gone. So you also need to understand. Doesn't mean only I can. No, I'm just saying you need to understand how the energy works. Because if you don't, you will just burn it. Okay, you light it, and it won't. You need to know when it's over, and you will feel it as well. The smell of the sage, just the smell, is even good for your mind. You smell it and it clears you. So after you've done this, first you go with the sage and the plate against the clock. Then you go with the lignum vitae against the clock, and you cleanse yourself as well. After you've done this, you wait a little bit and then you open all the windows in your house. You gotta let it all come out. Fresh air is also good, obviously. Fresh air gives a sense of renewal. Okay? That's probably the most basic and elemental way of cleaning, of cleansing, sorry, against negativity, which is what I call it. I don't call it evil, or there's many words, negativity. Okay? That's a very basic view of it. But there are also the minerals. So, what minerals? What is the mineral for me? Well, that's the tourmaline. And I specifically have this one, which I picked out myself. Now, this stone, I didn't pick it out because of how it looks or what size it is, but because when I go personally, I would advise you to go personally, not order them. You need to understand that these stones have a connection with you. When you get to the store to get these stones, or to wherever you're getting them, you have to feel that the stone is calling to you. Okay, let's call it a mineral. Sorry. You have to feel the connection. When I arrive at the store, I immediately take a look and I know which one is the one that I'm going to have to use. This is absorbs incredibly. It is absolutely incredible. There are many ways. Always, in my opinion, keep it on the floor of the room that you are most in. You can also change it and put it different rooms of the house. Now, you can do this if you really feel contaminated. You're going through a bit of a transformation, and you need to get that negativity. There are two things you can do. You can put it on your chakras. I would advise, if you're new to this, just do it on your third eye, okay, chakra. That's just a way of calling it. And you lie down for 10 minutes. You let it absorb everything. This is blocked by many things. I'll talk briefly about this. Ideas, negativity, excess of technology can even block it. Many things can. Many daily things that we go through. Let's say you work in a toxic place and everyone around you is complaining. Um, this is perfect. It's absolutely wonderful. And that's the tourmaline. Okay, but there are also other black stones or minerals that are very, very good because they absorb. Now, it is important to understand that you should be careful, though, with the minerals that have this amount. I mean, this is a very big mineral for what it does. This is a very big, has a lot of power. So you can't start off by putting it on all your body chakras, because it can unbalance you. I would suggest you start off with this chakra right here. It is important to understand if you live near the sea, which a lot of people don't, but you can definitely get seawater. You can get at least salt and put it in normal water, sea salt. That you must clean this every 2 weeks at least, and you have to leave it for 6 days in the moonlight and in the sun. You put it in a little bowl with water and you cover it with sea salt. I go to the beach because where I live there is a beach, and I get the real seawater, so it's much better. And it's important as to do it as fast as you can. What do I mean? You get the seawater and you get home. Don't leave it too long in the plastic. Now I know 6 days sounds like a lot, but that's because we're going through a very very important period right now. There is a lot, spiritually speaking, this is a very important period. It's probably the most important period that there has ever been on planet Earth since about November last year. There is a division going on, very strong division between people who are evolving, spiritually speaking, okay, not intellectually, spiritually, and people who are not. And there is a great division right now. And people listening to this will understand because they have probably felt that everything is amplified at the moment. Stress is amplified if you're clinging onto something you shouldn't. But then again, also many questions are coming to you. We're at a very important period, and we can talk about this at another time because it's a very long subject. But I will tell you that for now, at this present time, it is important to clean properly with the seawater, the minerals. I would say 6 days. It is to clean mine. 6 days. I mean, you put it on a Tuesday night and you take it out on a Monday night. Let's say that would be fine, for example. These type of stones are incredible, absolutely incredible. Like they make you feel so much better at home. It's unbelievable. Now, if you are dealing with going outside, like I said, into a toxic environment, I would recommend you to also carry one around your neck. It could be a little one like this. I always recommend the tourmaline. There are others, but I always recommend the tourmaline. I think it's absolutely the best. And I also recommend that instead of me telling you the names of the minerals, that when you go to the store, you use your intuition and see which mineral, because it's not just the type of mineral. Like I said, this is a living being. Not in the sense of biology, but it's full of energy. So as soon as I get there, you have to understand that there's something you need to do with it. Normally, when I buy a mineral, there's a time when it just ends and I give it away to another person because I understand that my time has come to an end with that mineral. But there are a couple of them, like the one I've just shown, which will be with me forever because you just need them. It doesn't mean, and this is very important, that you should think that these minerals, like I said, with the sage and the lignum vitae, are a solution. No, you are the solution to everything. It's just the way you use the energy and you use these. You have to understand the use of these minerals, but it doesn't mean that if you don't have minerals, you're no. Always remember that you are the most powerful being. Like when I say you, I mean all of us. But you need to understand how to use the energy. This is the quartz. There are many types of quartz. Okay, it's important for this to get sun at least, I would say, once a month. For you to go out into the sun, doesn't need that much sun. At least this one doesn't. This one also called out to me. This one helps clear my mind mainly. Helps me channel better. Helps me see better when I'm in sessions, and it also helps in a different way because initially when I bought this mineral, I realized it was very different from the tourmaline. This quartz that I've shown you, it doesn't really absorb as much as it gives energy. Now, giving energy is just as important because it is transforming in a way. If you have, and let's say you have a battery, this is more of a battery, okay? If you want to use a very, an example, this is like a battery. It's giving off energy constantly. So it does need a bit of sun, I would say once a month. It also needs to be cleaned with seawater. It's very important to have, for you to go and pick your mineral. Very important. Also, well, the most important part of all, when you get to a point where you have understood certain things and understood how to use this, you can also begin to use Archangel Michael's blue ray of light, the metaphysical ray. That's probably the most important one. Not only to help yourself, but others. But mostly because when you connect with others, if you do, because as time goes on and you become more at peace, you do not attract people who are uh, at war with themselves. But if you are at this moment going through a period where you might be connecting with people who are very, let's just say, spiritually affected negatively, you can also protect yourself with the metaphysical rays, the blue one being the most important, really. So that's basically how you do it. But always the attitude is the engine of everything. Always. Without your attitude, there is nothing that can help you. You need to have absolutely, doesn't mean you don't have to go through a process. Of course you do. Okay? It will have to go through a process. But your attitude is the engine, and you are the engine of everything. These things outside of you are ways for you to use what you have been given. But doesn't mean they have the power over you. I think you are on mute, Ron. So it is important to understand that what we're talking about here.
Oh, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what I had said is change starts from within, from oneself.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you, I mean, many people ask me, why isn't this working? Also, the comparisons aren't something we should do. Everyone has their own process.
Right.
So, if I mean, to explain this, we can't expect for every single human being to be able to experience everything the same way. This is why you will see that even like in spirituality, like anything else, philosophy, whatever, psychology, there are differences of opinions. Obviously, not everyone experiences the same things the same way, and obviously, not everyone is at the same stage of. I mean, the lives are very different. We're all completely different. We're all part of the same creation, but the thing is that sometimes people will say it's not working. What this is not working. Okay, maybe it's because possibly your attitude isn't the best attitude. And what's a negative attitude? A negative attitude is not going through things. Going through things is part of life. Okay, everyone here on planet Earth goes through things. We all have, but it's just take looking at the bright side. It's really simple. Like we don't have to complicate things. Just try to always find the brightest side of everything. And just also just don't let yourself be defeated. Like don't start saying things that attract. It's not that you attract negativity as much as you block positivity. You don't really attract negativity. It's just that you're dimensionally speaking, you let yourself be trapped and you don't receive the energy from the higher dimensions. So if you're always saying, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'll never have this, then you won't have it. If you're using the minerals, but you're thinking, oh, everything's going to be, nothing's going to be okay. Another one is paranoia, and I have to talk about this. I'm sorry, but I do.
Sure.
There are many confusions. uh, I know a lot of people who are coming to me, and they're um, in the past, and they think that there is some sort of external tormentor, but the truth is that I think they're just confused in their life because they feel pain, and that's the thing, that we've got to stop looking outside all the time. We've got to stop, because, and so let's say I teach you how to, I don't know, how to use the rays, or how to use the minerals, or even anything. But if you are convinced that someone is bothering you, that something is wrong, that it's just really difficult, because you are the one that's doing it. You're using your
Right.
free will. Okay, we have free will. We were given free will. Okay, because on this planet, which is different from other planets, okay, there is something called free will,
Right.
because there is such a wide range of energies from very high to very low. So if with our free will we choose to be complaining all the time, we choose not to face what we've already, um, let's say that when you come here, you've already said you're going to face this, and you come to, and everything you do is complain. You don't face anything. I'm not judging anyone, by the way. That's not my point of view. But if all you do is look at the negative side, you don't face things. Um, you distract yourself, not doing other things. You don't focus. It's very hard for any of this to work.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I and I
Very
and
hard.
I can see this with people very often, that the people that complain the most always has an issue with everything that they do. And those people who just go into a shop and they go like, "Do you have this?" And they buy it. They say thanks. They leave. Nothing ever happens to them. Everything is happiness. But
Yes.
those complainers, always something goes wrong, no matter what.
Yes.
Always.
Perfect example. Absolutely. You gave the perfect example. That
Mhm.
is exactly what I mean. Like, I'm not saying don't, for you gave me a really good example. That's exactly what I was getting at. The person, it's not about not managing money. Let's talk about this a little bit. You have to always manage your money, everything, in order, okay? It's healthy. But what you just said, okay, you go into the store, I don't know, you go to buy something, and you're not always worrying about, um, not trusting others. There are people who are, for example, they will come to me, and I will feel their attitude as very negative and lack of trust immediately.
Mhm.
And sometimes I can't help certain people, and they get angry afterwards, and they ask me why I didn't help them. I can't help you because it's just out of my reach. And if someone is always boring, like you said, they go into the store, they're trying to control everything, trying to control how
Mhm.
much I spend, how much I'm being charged, this, that. You're not going to control anything. Life isn't about control. You got to understand, life is not about control. You can't control things.
You have to be like a fish, go with the flow, or against the flow, but just be in the
Just
water.
let yourself be carried by your, this is already everything planned.
Mhm.
Okay, everything is planned, so you can try to go against things as much as you want, worry as much as you want. You're the only one that's going to suffer. That's the truth. And when you realize this, you're the only one that's going to be in peace, because no one can help you if you don't want to help yourself. So there are people who will, like you said, they will go into the store. It's a perfect example. They just go about with, they won't think anyone's trying to scam them, or they won't think anyone, they'll just go with it. Whatever, of course, you have to be intelligent, you have to balance it. It's not always about just, you have to understand also your earth part, your human part, but you have to more and more let go of the control. And when you let go, the universe provides.
Right.
because you are opening yourself to what the universe is giving you. But if you always try to control, you're not going to open yourself to anything new, which is evolution. That's what something new is, evolution.
Correct. Now, talking about evolution and evolving spiritually, okay,
Yes.
and thinking about like past lives, do you
Hmm.
think that some people suffer because they have to learn a lesson that they haven't learned in a previous life? And because of that, like no matter how much they try, they keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over. And how can we help these people cleanse
Okay.
themselves spiritually, go forward, let go of the negative, and start
Yeah.
with the positive?
Okay. Well, there I would say that I don't agree with that. Like, I have a very different way of seeing this.
Sure.
Okay, because what I see as past lives, okay, are just echoes of energy
Mhm.
that dimensionally exists from, like, when we come here to Earth, okay, we come to a body, and this body, and we also come into a spirit, our spirit. So this has a history. Also, your body has the history of your parents and of their parents' parents, and it comes from. So this thing that we call karma, I interpret it differently. I interpret like we come here basically just to heal this. So in a way, you are right. I mean, I would say that some people, they come here to Earth, they have this energy they have to change, because that's what they wanted to do. That's why they came here, but they just didn't do it because they just decided not to within their free will. Maybe it was too much. I mean, I don't know. I don't judge anyone. Why should I judge anyone? I'm not judging. All I'm saying is that these people, they're not here to suffer in order to learn. That's not the way it is. They're here to understand that suffering is not part of learning. And it sounds a bit strange the way I'm saying it, but
No.
that's exactly what you need to understand. Sometimes you have to understand suffering itself to get out of suffering. Because, I mean, I myself know why I had to go through what I had to go through in order to help others understand some things, not just spiritually, because I'll tell you, a lot of the things I talk about with people, 60 or 70% of the time, go into the personal part. I use the
Yes.
spiritual part because it is the part that has more power when you really know how to use it. But if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through, how can I sit in front of someone who has gone through trauma, who has lost someone, and understand them? It
Right.
would be impossible. So in a way, people would do have to go through suffering to understand, but it doesn't mean you need to suffer. It means you need to
Exactly.
understand that suffering is not necessary and just free yourself from it.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned this about suffering,
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody once, and they were talking about making sacrifices. How you have to make sacrifices in order to be successful, to be happy. And then at the same time, sacrifice implies suffering. Why
Yes.
should you have to suffer in order to be happy, in order to be successful? You could just enjoy the ride,
Yes.
right?
Precisely. Yes. That's exactly, you've said it. Couldn't be more clear. You don't have to, this sacrifice concept is because we as a species, let's say,
Mhm.
we're still very stuck in the third dimension. We're going through a lot of evolution right now, like I spoke about earlier, especially since November 2023. And a lot of people will begin to shift. But the truth is that we have been stuck for a long time. We also have to accept the facts. You have to look at human history
Mhm.
and how we have been repeating the same patterns. So this is where your other question comes in. It's not about you coming here because in other past lives, it wasn't you really. It was another dimension. It's not really the you that is here in the present, which is the you that matters, has the power to heal And what is the intention? To stop wars, to stop all these systems of belief that we've had, that we've been hurting each other, hurting nature,
Mhm.
spiritually completely disconnected. We are completely disconnected. More and more we're connecting, but for a long time we have been disconnected. So yes, we don't need to suffer. We just enjoy the ride. Now, of course, there's going to be parts of the ride that are going to be bumpy.
Right.
It's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me, I'll tell you that, at all. I could sit here and talk about it 2 hours, but that's not the point. But it wasn't easy at all. But what did I gain? Everything. Everything. It was what I gained is infinitely more powerful than anything that I went through. And in fact, it was actually beautiful what I went through, because that's where I am now. Am I finished? No. Every day I have to breathe, relax, understand many things about life that I still don't understand.
Right.
No one is perfect. But you know what? When you let go, at least you just go with it. And things come to you. You don't need to go looking out for them as well. Things start coming to you. Money comes to you if you want it. Money isn't bad.
Right.
It's just what you use it for. Okay? That's the point. Because if you all you think about is money all day, no, it's not going to work very well. But if you understand this is something you use to get what you need and what you want in order to fulfill what you need as well, comes to you. People as well, when you stop clinging onto everything, stop clinging onto, I need to be accompanied by someone. That's a typical mistake we make.
Right.
You don't need to be accompanied by anyone if you don't want to. Love comes from you. Doesn't come from nothing outside is going to give you the love you're not giving yourself. You give yourself love because you deserve it.
Right.
You don't need to suffer. You don't need to suffer to understand anything. You need, if you chose to suffer, like some of us do, maybe it's because we need to help others. Because if I was an archangel, to give you an example, okay, even though they understand in a different way, and I was sitting here talking to you, okay, which is impossible, but I'm just putting this example, I wouldn't understand in the same way. I am a human being. I have been through, when I talk to people, I know, like, every story I get, I have been through similar things. And they never come to me with stories that don't relate to me. There's always a connection. And I need to have this experience that I've had of these things I've gone through. It's impossible if you don't go through it to have compassion. Of course, you can have empathy, but you have to understand. There's always empathy, of course, but you have to understand on a level that you can say to this person, I know what you went through. So it isn't suffering because suffering has value in of itself. It doesn't. It's just understanding that the suffering is an illusion. That's the point of everything. Understanding that the suffering you're going through is just really an illusion, because in the end it's light, it's love. It's a you're being taught something. You're evolving, transforming. You're not really suffering, you're evolving. And you came to a planet that was really stuck. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for you. It's not going to be everything great. No, you have to go through things. But you can be at peace at any time. Even when you're going through the most difficult things, you can really find it. If you look for it, you can find it.
So, would you agree that the hardest thing to do is to learn to love yourself?
I would say the
That
hardest
the
thing to do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
that true love really starts from you, because I think you were mentioning before that we're always trying to find love on other people, when
Yeah.
love should really start from you. Once you love yourself, then you become more attractive to other people,
As well.
because they fall in love of the fact that you are in love with yourself, that you're confident, that you're happy.
Absolutely. So yeah, I believe that the hardest thing wouldn't be that, but that's one of the hardest things. I would say the hardest thing is to let go of the illusion of control.
Mhm.
That is the absolutely hard, and time. That's the biggest illusion of all. I am constantly being, with my channelings, constantly being told about the importance of understanding. This doesn't mean that now we just live in anarchy. No, I'm not saying. I mean, I know what time I had to come here today to talk to you. Doesn't mean that I live in anarchy now. It's just understanding not to worry about the past or the future, and everything disappears. And that's
Mhm.
also the same applies to the same principle of people. If I'm alone in my house and I'm thinking, oh, I wish I had a girlfriend, I wish I had a couple, I wish my family was here with me, I'm so alone, poor me. Oh, I'm just victimizing myself and I'm creating something that doesn't exist, because that moment is just the moment I'm creating doesn't even exist. So just understand, let go of control. And you understand that if you love yourself, like you said, that's one of the hardest things. Because once you realize that, you just don't really need anyone. If you want to be with someone, it's because you want to, but you don't need. Many people,
Right.
they cling. But my family, the family is probably the most difficult one,
Mhm.
because with friends you can let go, but with family, sometimes we even go through accepting that our family can treat us in a wrong way just because they're family. That also happens a lot, and you shouldn't. You should always think, if you're not well, you can't help anyone. That's another thing that's important to understand, because people always want to be able to help someone else, but they won't look inside, because it's always difficult to look in the mirror. You know why? Because you're 24 hours a day living with yourself. You can't escape from yourself. You can escape from others if you want to, but you can't escape from yourself. You can't. So that's why it's so hard to love yourself when you have things to accept. You can run away, you can do whatever you want, you can't escape. One day, maybe in 80 years, 60, 50, for me, it was 20 years of my life, or a bit more. I don't even count it anymore, but it was a long time. And eventually it catches up. You have to face it, and you have to understand that you are at peace and in love. So there's a lot of talk about love nowadays, and for the past, I don't know, a lot of time. What is loving, and am I going to meet the love of my life? Many things that I think are distortions of what we really are. And there's also this thing that started with Darwin,
Mhm.
Darwinism, that we are a social species, all of that. I don't really believe that at all. Absolutely not. I believe that we are social in the sense that we must have a purpose that connects to other beings, human beings. But I do not believe that we are by nature meant to be in families or in, you know. I believe that the power of the individual is absolutely incredible. Of course, that individual needs to go outside, and yes, he does. You can't lock yourself up in your house, but you need to understand you by yourself are okay, and you have all the power in the world here. There it is. And then everything disappears. Suddenly, money starts coming to you, everything, because a lot of people worry about money. You don't have to be a millionaire or get a Lamborghini. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you living well, eating well, you know. Important part of cleaning, which I didn't talk about. If you don't physically clean your house, energy gets stuck.
Mhm.
You need to clean very well your house. That's important. You can clean spiritually with what I've shown you as much as you want. If you don't go and clean the floor, clean everything, walls, whatever, it's not gonna. It will get stuck. This, not to be in order, not disorder, I think is the term in English.
Mhm. Disorganized.
Yeah, being disorganized. That doesn't help at all. You have to be organized. Doesn't mean that now you have to worry and have anxiety about the future. That's not what I'm saying. It's different to say, okay, I'm going to have my things in order because it's healthy, than to be thinking all the time, oh, I've got this tomorrow. We go too fast. That's another thing. We go too fast in this world.
Hmm. Yeah, someone said in the past, make sure that the things that you own don't own you. So it's important to live a simple life and don't get things
Yes.
that you don't need that just gonna take space in your house. And
Yes.
eventually you're gonna run out of space. And that takes your peace away.
Exactly. That's exactly the point, that you have to understand that the value is what you give to things. They don't hold value. They don't hold a they're not powerful because they're things. It's just what you, if you say, oh, I've always said to people, like they say, I want to have more this, more that. I'll ask for it and manifest it and work towards it, and work on your personal part, and it will come. Because it, in my, like in many cases, in my case, it's coming slowly. It doesn't mean it's going to be from one day to another, but it works. So I always say to people, like, people think that money is bad, and that, no, it's not. What is bad is abusing others for money, in every way of the word. I mean, like, thinking that, justifying everything with money. But it's not bad to want to be in abundance. So yeah, I mean, things don't own you, but if you want to have things, there's no problem. The universe is infinite and it has infinite things. If there wasn't any greed in the world, we could all have whatever we wanted, really. I mean, if you think about it, there is enough in this world to feed all of us. There definitely is. So
So so you need to love yourself to the point of not being too selfish and to the point of not being greedy. So you can share the wealth with everybody else.
it's all about balance, really. It's all
Balance.
about balance, because yeah, it's all about inner balance. Like, you got to understand that money, it doesn't have value in of itself. You know, it's not something that you need to get to. It's something you use to get to other things. That's the where the illusion lies. It's not about you wanting or not wanting to have money. It's about thinking why you want that money. Say you want a nice house, there's no problem. You want a great big okay. But if everything revolves around the money as an end, not as a means to an end, that's when you fall into the illusion, which is greed. That's greed. Because when you get greedy, you are lost. You're disconnected from the universal source.
Right.
And also the sharing the wealth part that you're talking about, I don't know, because I mean, if you want to, that's something I would say as well. Because I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it has to come from your heart. It doesn't have to come from some idea that you have that you need to share. Because you have to understand everyone has their own process, and some people just don't, they're not at that moment. It's all about just balance and finding the value that you see in things from a very balanced and peaceful part of yourself. And understanding that money isn't going to solve your life. You could have $1 billion in your account and you're going to be the same person, in the sense that you're going to worry about money the same. Okay? So you need to fix your worrying, not the money. If you worry about money when you don't have a lot of money, you're still going to worry when you get a lot of money. It's you that you have to work on. And also, you have to be intelligent with the things that universe gives you. You can't. Uh, you also have to be like, that's what I when I talk about the human part, you have to balance it. Let's say that I ask the universe for something, and it I don't know, 6 months go by, because normally it takes time. Like I said, it's not from one day to another. This is a human world, and things have to move in the human way. Well, I can't just start wasting it. You also have to give it its value.
Right.
You know what the perfect example is, and I'm not judging anyone. I'm just giving an example. People who, for example, have gambling addictions, okay, which I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying that's a perfect example of wasting things the universe is giving you. Now they should go to get help, of course. I'm not saying that, but that's an example of it. You go and you to the casino, you come out, you've half your monthly wage is gone. That's like what I mean, like finding the balance between attracting what you need, but also using it properly. It's not like, okay, the universe is gonna help me now. I'm gonna go and buy 3 supercars, and I don't even have money to eat tomorrow. No, no, no. You also need to have the attitude to understand how to use the things that you're given.
Okay. Now, now, uh, in, so I'm gonna make a brief summary of what we spoke about tonight, and then
Yes,
we're gonna answer a couple of questions from
of
people that
course.
are present today. So basically, if you want to do a cleansing of your space, of your home, you will need, there are 3 ways to do it. One will be to use sage, to burn sage on a plate, and you're gonna burn it against the clock to remove all the negative energy. Number
Yes,
two, you will burn lignum vitae the same way, counterclockwise to remove all negative spirits.
correct, correct.
Okay, and then after a little while, you're gonna open all windows and you're gonna let fresh air come in,
Exactly.
because fresh air represents renewal, right? Getting rid of all the negativity. And in addition to that, um, to be able to cleanse yourself spiritually, you recommend the use of not only of those 2 things that will help clear your space, but you will ask to use minerals such as tourmaline, right? And you will want it to keep it on the floor, okay, and then move it to other areas of your house. But you can also put it over your chakras,
Yes,
specifically your third eye.
absolutely.
Um, uh, we also want to, oh, and in order to clean this stone, this mineral, you will want to use salt water or seawater, preferably, and you're gonna keep it in water for 6 nights under the moonlight, right?
Yeah, you
Or
can
outside
use,
exposed to the elements.
like, the salt has to be from the sea.
Okay.
Okay, sea salt, because that's the it's a sea that has that
The power.
cleanse. Yeah, and also many people say to me, I don't have a sun and I don't have a terrace. Okay, just
Right.
put it anywhere that the next to the window. What's important is that at least the moon, like, really what's important about it is that the stone, the mineral, feels that sea water, that sea salt, because the
Hmm.
sea is incredible.
Right.
It's
Right.
absolutely, if you can drink a little bit of if you go to the beach and you pick up the water for your minerals, drink a little bit of seawater,
Right.
a little bit, just a drop.
Yeah. And even if no drinking, I'm sure walking around the beach is also very helpful because you're breathing all that mist, right?
Oh
It's
yes, it's
going into
absolutely,
you. Hmm.
yeah. That's
Okay.
because all the animals that are in. We'll talk about that in another time. But the dolphins, especially, and whales, incredible. Absolutely, that's their energy. It's
Hmm.
incredible. Yeah.
Um, Also, you recommend, if possible, to carry one around your neck, a piece of
Yes,
tourmaline as a
or a
pendant, for
quartz.
example. Yes.
Yeah,
And
or a
on
quartz.
choosing it, yes.
Yeah.
And on using it, whenever you go get it, just make sure that your intuition guides you to pick one up. So there's no good or bad, is the one that you actually choose. So let's try to do this
Yes,
in person, correct?
yes, it would be
Uh,
preferable for you to do it in person and feel that the stone also, the mineral chooses you as well, because it knows that there are no coincidences in this world. Everything is mathematically designed universally perfect. So when you see the mineral, you're going to know that's a mineral you need for this specific question. I have other minerals that aren't for cleansing, and I haven't brought them out today.
Right.
But I have other minerals, each one for a specific purpose. And when I'm finished with them, I give them to, I know exactly who to give it, because I can feel the energy of the mineral telling me who is the person I
Right.
should.
Okay. And then you also spoke about quartz, right? And you will use that to clear your mind, to be able to channel better,
Yeah.
to see better, and it's
Yes.
basically a battery that collects all that positive energy from the sunlight, and then it helps you get re-energized.
Yes, it has energy in of itself, but obviously it needs the sunlight every now and then to collect. It's like a battery. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like a battery, where the other one is like a vacuum of
Correct.
negativity. Yeah.
I'm now talking about the negativity. If you wanted to attract positive energy, does that mean that you will burn the lithium vitae and the sage on a clockwise way?
Oh no, no,
No?
no, it
Okay.
has nothing. No,
Okay.
no, no. If you want to attract positive energy, you just need to start with your attitude, and look very carefully at your words. That's something else. What
Yes.
you're saying constantly, and you can change it completely. So if you're saying, let's give you an example. Oh, I don't have enough for this. I can't do this. That's just the most common one. I can't do this. I can do this. Repeat it. I can do this. I can do this. I can. Every time you hear yourself talking negatively, you twist it around. Eventually, your brain, and this is something that has to do with your brain as well. Your brain even understands.
Right.
You can like trick your brain, trick it. You're not really tricking it. You're healing it. But you can tricking it into thinking something so much that it becomes the truth. You just gotta
Right.
look at what you're saying. But yeah, if you want to, like, you don't have to go the other way around if you want to attract positive energy. I mean, positive
Okay.
energy is something you attract yourself. You don't
Very
need
good.
anything outside of you to use the
And
blue ray of Michael. That's of
yes,
Arcade. Yeah,
Mike, yeah, Michael,
yeah,
the archangel.
yeah.
Um, and then we spoke about, you said, and I quote, we come to heal this. Uh, so suffering is just an illusion. So let's
Yes,
stop suffering, right? Let's start enjoying the present, and
yes,
let's not live on the suffering of the past or the anxieties of tomorrow.
yes, completely.
Mhm. And the hardest thing to let go is to let go of control, and that can
Yes,
bring a lot of unhappiness. And we all
yeah,
know someone who is like that, right? And yeah, I think that kind of like sums it up. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Manuel?
No, I think I just want to say that the attitude is the most important thing. This is just like the extra, but the attitude is the most important thing in everything. That's the engine of everything that has been created, done. Attitude, and also thinking outside the box. That's a very crude way of saying it, but you have to
Right,
think for yourself. Never believe what others tell you, because you don't know where they're like. Doesn't mean you shouldn't trust them. I'm not saying don't trust. No, I'm saying just believe what you know. Trust your heart. That's how you get out. Trust your
right,
heart. Something doesn't feel right, you go the other way. Feels this way, you go. And if you make a mistake, you correct it later on, because there are really no mistakes either. It's just part of learning. But always trust yourself. It's really, really, that part is like the hardest to understand. And it's the most simple. It's so ironic. And that's where we all make all these questions. We go around, it's like this labyrinth we're all in. It's just trust yourself. Be positive. Everything's gonna be all right.
Very good.
Yeah.
And with that, Manuel, I don't think there are any questions, but oh, there you go. So Clemencia, I'm just going to read the comments here. So Clemencia says, I felt every word he said. Thank you. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Valencia.
Clemencia. And well, we're going to give it a couple more minutes. And in the meantime, just wanted to remind everyone that next Tuesday we will meet again on Tuesdays encounters in New York, and we will have a special guest, Pablo Morano, and he'll be talking about self-awareness through channeling. And that will be February 13th, 2024 at 7 p.m. New York time. Well, Manuel, it's been a pleasure to have this talk with you. I have learned a lot of things. You expanded my knowledge of the subject. I didn't know much, and I am glad that you turned a negative situation into a positive thing, and you are helping so many people uh, through this. And we heal by helping others, right? Go on, going through the
As well.
situations. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No, thank you a lot, and thank everyone. Thanks to everyone for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you for the opportunity.
yes. And yeah, before you leave, Luz Duque says, thank you for the valuable information. Katia says, how often, oh, there we go, finally a question. How often we have to do the cleaning or the
Well,
cleansing?
the right now, I mean, that depends on every person and what they're going through, really, because someone's going through something very difficult. There's a lot of negativity that's being liberated, let's call it, cleansed, right? But I would say, if I had to do an estimate, I would say with the sage, once every 2 weeks. I would say with the lignum vitae, once, yeah, every 2 weeks. And obviously the tourmaline, the black stone, the mineral, does it work? Does it work? It works constantly by itself. You just leave it on the floor in the room that you just spend most of the time in, and every 2 weeks as well. But if you're going through a lot of transformations, you might have to do it every week.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
really
And
depends how you feel the energy around you. You have to understand as well. Just use your senses. Don't be so rational. You just sense. Like if you feel, maybe you go to bed and you feel everything's a bit heavy, you do the cleansing and you'll feel much better. Sorry,
very
I
good.
interrupted.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. Um, and there is one more question, and this is my question. Will
Yes.
there be any words that you can repeat as you're doing the cleansing, the burning of the
Well,
sage?
I would. I don't usually say much,
Mhm.
but there is this time that there was a very difficult period, and I did say, I think it was Archangel Michael, protect. I mean, there are mantras. I don't know if in English, because English is my second language, but mantras, I think, is what they're called.
Yes.
And there are many of them that you can use personally and for your home. But yeah, you can say, I used to say, Archangel Michael, please protect, and please, I would say, please protect this home, please clean this home. It's really more of the intention that you put into it. Also, remember that mirrors are portals. So you
Mhm.
have to always go to the mirrors as well. Really important. And doors are portals. A lot of negativity accumulates in the doors and in the mirrors. Very important with the mirrors. Very
What about
important. And
what about fences? or
You
walls that
like
surround your
you
house?
no, don't worry about anything outside. Let's say, for example, in my house, I have a terrace, but
Hmm.
not like a big terrace. I have that's not part of. You know how in law, this is a funny thing, but it's actually true. You know how in law, they say that, for example, my terrace isn't actually mine, really. Like it's in my apartment, but by law, it belongs to the building. So I can't
Hmm.
just, for example, put a ceiling on it or do whatever I want. I have to consult. So it's not really my private property. And the funny thing is that spiritually, this has a way of working as well. Since it is outside and it's not in the home,
Hmm.
that's not. There are a lot of things going on there that don't have to do with your personal. So you don't do the cleanings. Let's say you live in a house and you have a garden. Neither. It's inside. That's I know it sounds funny, but that's the way it works, and that's why everything in law is structured that way as well. Like naturally, humans understood about how everyone has their space, you know.
But
So
what But what about the walls or the fence that surround your house, your property? Because let's say like a car could hit your fence or the wall outside. And of course the wall is there to protect the house.
but what do you mean by a wall outside your house that protects your like you go
But
outside your house and there's a wall? Oh, okay, I understand.
like
So
the
you've got
property
a
line,
garden.
right?
Let's say you've got a garden and then you've got the wall, right?
Right,
And
right.
don't worry about that. It's your home. You need to worry. Don't worry about that. Okay, I understand where the question's coming from because that's also like yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's like a threshold. You know, it's
Hmm.
like a
Right.
yeah, you can do it, but I would say you don't really need to. I would say because once you're outside in the air, okay, it's no longer your. It can be your home in the sense that it is your private property, but the energies aren't really moving
Right.
outside in the same way. It's very different.
Okay. And
Just go to the doors and the mirrors inside your home,
yes.
you know, especially the mirrors.
Yeah, the mirrors are I didn't know, so I definitely learned that today.
Oh yes, yes.
Hmm.
I was just
Um,
emphasizing.
and how somebody asks how we can know more about the minerals, about the stones,
Well, you
the
can go to
protector
some
minerals.
to protect the minerals or to
No,
protect us.
well, they wrote the protector minerals. I guess the
Oh, okay.
protecting minerals. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are many. That would have to be a longer conversation that we could have, or you can consult with someone who knows more about minerals. But I would say always just go with your, like I said, go with your intuition. I spiritually just use and I also when I do my channelings I'm told
Hmm.
by the angels and I'm told also about these things in a different way, not in an earth way like such mineral has such composition, but they say what they're useful for. I can like do a basic talk about it. There are a lot of people that know more than me about this subject. Like there are a lot of people on social media. If you look for something, you'll find it. You know, there are a lot of people that know about mirrors a lot.
Right.
I'm just talking about how to spiritually, like the basics here. You know, I think that's really what you need. I don't think you need to have a box full of minerals.
Right.
But
Right.
if you want to know more, just try to like use your intuition. You know, just think this mineral. How does it connect with me? Also, we can talk about this in the future, I think, because it's just a subject that extends if we go into
Okay.
minerals. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Again, thank you so much. Just to remind everybody that every week we're using the same link uh, to Tuesday's encounter in New York. And we hope to see you next week. And again, thank you so much,
No, thank you.
Manuel. This has been truly a pleasure, and we have learned a lot tonight. At least I have.
No, thank you all for being here. I have learned a lot too. Thank you.